Miss in the morning.
Goldman Sachs shares skidding 13% after the SEC fraud charges against the firm, taking down the financials and the rest of the stock market with them. Will the government's assault on Wall Street end up killing the rally for good? Let's ask our Fox Business All-Stars, Jonathan Hoenig, Kirsten Powers, and Uri Man. Uri, what do you think? A lot of people today had that doom and gloom feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this whole thing to me feels extremely politically driven. And, I was watching your interview with Senator Sanders just a few minutes ago. All due respect to the senator, but he's really clueless about this subject. This entire lawsuit has nothing to do with about protecting the people and the investors. It basically here, even if they have the goods on Goldman here, we're not talking about any sort of oversight that would prevent something like this from happening again in terms of the financial sector being deteriorated by banks' actions. Right. It just seems to me like, we had sophisticated people on both ends of the transaction here. You had investors buying essentially securities which were, these are not ice cream stores. They were buying high-yielding subprime debt, taking advantage of poor people with bad credit. I don't feel bad for them. I have no pity for them. And the fact that the SEC is going after these people, it just seems politically convenient.
Let's bring in Gary B. Smith. Gary B., do you feel sorry for these people, and do you think this is the end of the rally?
Well, look, if there is, if Goldman Sachs lied and people lost money because of fraud, yes, I do feel sorry for anyone that, lost money when they didn't have all the facts. Now, to your bigger question, does this mark the end of the rally? I think temporarily it does. Normally rallies end when kind of no one's looking, when everyone's bullish, they think the only direction for the market is up. That's what you've had kind of the past few months. In fact, it's really what you've had since March '09 when the market's up like, 80, 100% since then. All it takes is one event, like Goldman Sachs being down, what was it at the end of the day, 13% or something like that, on huge volume to kind of mark that turnaround. Because I guarantee you, there is this is not the last shoe to drop here. There's going to be back and forth allegations, and I bet there's some other companies that the SEC ends up investigating. Whether it's fabricated, true or not, I think it marks certainly a short-term top.
Along that theme, Kirsten, a lot of people are saying the timing of this was pretty interesting, particularly since this financial regulatory reform seems to have hit some sort of a bump in the road. Maybe this was deliberately put out there to get this over the top.
Well, I guess you never really know, but you could also make an argument that they've been sitting on their hands for too long and they should have been investigating these companies before.
You don't think they were investigating these companies?
I don't. Well, I think there were a lot of people that were asleep at the wheel, frankly. And if they had been doing what they were supposed to be doing, then they would have seen what was coming. Let's face it, a lot of these everything didn't have to be so complex. And whether or not in this situation with Goldman Sachs they did anything illegal or not, that's when the investigation will find out. But I don't have a problem with them investigating them.
Jonathan, here's the whole thing. Speaking of whether it was complex or opaque, I keep hearing things like that. All of that's not illegal. It seems like tomorrow, all the newspapers across the country, they're going to say, Goldman, government's after Goldman, stock market rigged, and that could lead to a massive sell-off.
Indeed, Charles, because Goldman Sachs is public enemy #1 right now. And the SEC, of course, has their back up against the wall. Of course, they missed Madoff. They lost their case against the Bear Stearns hedge fund managers 6 months a year ago, right? They were supposedly responsible. So now they're essentially looking for someone to prosecute. And Goldman Sachs, again, being so infamous these days, is an easy target for a politically motivated SEC.
Gary B., you want
to let me also add something.
Gary B., go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the one thing that is always suspicious is, John Paulson, the hedge fund manager kind of involved in this, made $1 gazillion. Whenever I hear one of those guys making $1 gazillion, there's always a light that goes off saying, I wonder if there's something kind of fuzzy going on here, something, kind of like Madoff's phenomenal returns. Now, I'm not saying the guy's guilty. I'm just saying I'm always suspicious when one guy absolutely crushes it in the market.
Jonathan, well, what about who lost $12 billion today, where Goldman Sachs investors, Warren Buffett himself, lost $900 million today?
I'm not even saying he deserved it. I'm just saying something suspicious is going on here. That's just my feeling, that's all.
Well, I think a lot of people share that feeling with you guys. Well, listen, you want to watch a volcanic eruption in Iceland? There's an app for that. Can't get home to rule your country because of that volcano? Guess what? There's an app for that, too.
Trading on box office futures. Is the future closer than we think? The inside story from entertainment titan Peter Guber tonight on the next Scoreboard.
Held over through